Pastor Lindsey Williams is our guest. And, of course, he has the website reformation.org. We'll tell you about some of his books and films as well before he leaves us. We can find out more there. Okay, Lindsey, I want to go to calls, but I don't want to interrupt you. So run through the list I've got. Break down what Napolitano told one of your good friends. And again, there's a lot of rich people live in Austin that I've bumped into over the years. I remember I talked about it 4 years ago. One of the richest women in America said she was moving to the Cook Islands because, quote, America won't be here. And it was, she said, basically the derivatives coming up. That was 2 years before the crash of '08. Now 2 years ago in October of '08. Now headlines, rich fleeing U.S., rich fleeing Europe. Of the top 10 richest Israelis, the BBC headline a few months ago, I believe, was 6 of the richest have sold their houses and left Israel. I mean, what do they know? There is an evacuation taking place of the elitist. And so we're going to get into that, get into the other facets on gold, get into the other facets on the mortgage situation, Iran. Let's cover what Napolitano told your associate. Let's cover Iran. Let's cover the mortgages, gold and silver, devil's Messiah, what he told you about a world religious leader. All of this, let's go over it. And then anything else in your notes that you didn't give us yesterday in that talk we had. Lindsey Williams.
There is a very prominent Hispanic political activist in Phoenix, Arizona. A very devout Christian this person is. As you remember, Janet Napolitano, who is now the Director of Homeland Security, was the governor of Arizona prior to going to Washington under the President administration. When Janet Napolitano went to Washington, she asked this very prominent activist, whose name I have in front of me right here. I could call on the phone if I wanted to. And she asked her to come to Washington and be the liaison between the Hispanic community of America and Homeland Security. At the time, they offered her a job. They offered her a salary of $170,000 if she would take this position. When she finally was approved and went to Washington to take a position, Janet said, and called her by name, said, you cannot talk about certain things if you're going to come here. I know you're a Christian, but she said, you cannot talk about abortion. You cannot talk about homosexuality. You cannot talk about, and you cannot disagree with the present administration in any manner. But she said, we'd like you to take the job. Well, this individual, very strong Christian, said, I'm sorry, Janet, I can't give up my Christian convictions for the sake of $170,000 a year. She said, I can't take the job. As a result, didn't. Last week, this individual was back in Washington again, trying to raise money, trying to get some grants for some of her Hispanic organizations, and Janet Napolitano heard that she was in Washington. Janet called her on the phone and said, will you please let's have lunch together? They did. I think it was Thursday of last week. This is recent. I'm not talking about 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 weeks ago, a month ago. I'm talking about last week. This individual just got back to Phoenix, and she said, in the course of the conversation, Janet said, now, I am only saying this to some very close friends of mine. And she said, I want you to go back to Phoenix, and the first thing I want you to do is store in your house 6 months' supply of food and water immediately. And this individual said, Janet, why? She said, I can't tell you. She said, something is about to happen. She said, go back and take care of this right now. This was very urgent. And this was Thursday of last week, if I remember correctly. Folks, you've got to understand that what Alex is saying on his show, what you're hearing on InfoWars, this is not fantasy out there someplace. This is for real. These people are ready to do some very drastic things. And fortunately, because of the elitist whom I know and have known over these 35 years, one of whom now is terminal and just about to die, they're giving me this information, and I am passing it on to you. I hope that you will take action and do something about it. Janet said to this lady, go home, get 6 months' supply of food and water.
Well, let me stop you there. Let me stop you there. Let me stop you there, because this is important. And I'm not saying that she didn't say this. I believe it. This person contacted you, and it'll be pretty easy for folks to figure out who she is. But I remember in January and February of last year, 1999, year and a half ago or more, we had emergency managers we talked to, newspaper people that talked to emergency managers, Indiana, Vermont, Texas, New York State, We even got documents. This is before the flu broke out. They were saying, oh, this is only for your sheriff. This is only for your police chief. This is only for your threat fusion center. This is only for your mayor. There will be a flu pandemic. It will kill millions. Martial law is coming. And prepare for war with the American people. Harden all your facilities. We wrote stories. We did the interviews. It all, okay. Then a few months later in April, in the wrong hemisphere, wrong time of year, a novel flu that top scientists said was engineered popped up. But it was a hoax. So again, they use fear to get everybody to do what they want. Or they test the fear. And then it's about really giving you a shot that's had other deadly things added to it. That is a binary weapon. So I'm not, all I'm saying is I believe she told her this. I believe she called you and told you this. And I know this is what the elitist, you know, that I read about in the paper and also have a chance to talk to, say that, you know, they've been told for whatever reason, war, depression, you know, get ready. And we know the government's always building bunkers.
Let me punctuate this with something that is happening. You follow this for yourself on the national news. Insider trading. Now, let me try to explain it, if I may. On the stock market, there's the average, ordinary, everyday John Doe that trades on the stock market. Then there is what is called insider trading. That means people who are the CEOs, the corporate heads of corporations in America. Many of them are the elitists themselves, not all, but some. Insider trading means when these corporate heads, these CEOs, trade on the stock market, is called insider trading. Whenever the average John Doe trades, it's just an average person trading. Here are the statistics. Please write these down. September the 13th through the 17th of this year, it was 400 to 1 of insider trading on the New York stock market. That means insiders, corporate heads of CEOs, was selling their own corporate stocks. And it was 400 to 1, 400 being of the corporate sellers compared to 1 of the John Doe out here selling. Listen to this figure. October the 4th through the 8th. Now, we're right here, right where we are almost today. The insider trading has gone to 1,600 to 1. Folks, are you getting this? Do you understand that the corporate heads, the CEOs, the corporation managers, that these people are selling their own company stocks and bailing out in mass, and they have done it within 1 month's time from 400 to 1 to 1,601. What is it that these elitists, many of them, and these corporate heads, what is it that they know that you and I don't know? Why are they bailing out?
Continue.
Well, I was told by my elitist friend, and I recorded it on DVD, that by 2012, the dollar will be dead. What is it that these people know? They know what's about to happen. They know that we're going to a world currency. They know that the dollar is on its way out. Russia knows it. China knows it. That's the reason they didn't sign their agreement for crude oil and natural gas using dollars. Instead, they said we're going to use another currency. They're looking to the future because they know what's going to happen. The elitists have it already have stated to me that by 2012, the dollar will be dead. Folks, you'd better prepare. Anything that you're going to do with your dollars, you need to do them now because you may not have the opportunity. The dollar is crashing very rapidly. This is very obvious that something is in the wind that the elitists are doing. Now, they don't want to wait until the American people get so angry and upset that they start a revolution. They want to bring it about in such a manner that you will be so poor you won't be able to do anything. Let me read you the 3 statements that he gave to me just under 2 years ago. He said, within 2 years, you will not recognize America. I'm reading them verbatim. Again, and I recorded this on DVD. I'm so glad I did, so nobody can ever doubt it. He said again, by 2012, the dollar will be dead. Again, in the same conversation, he said within 2 years, nearly everyone will be working for the government. This is before the takeover of General Motors and Chrysler and AIG and the bank problems that we had toward the end of the Bush administration and before health care. Do you realize that all of these things are coming to pass exactly as this individual told me they would happen?
Amazing. Continuing, let's look at the Iran situation. What did he tell you on Iran? That's the big one.
I am so glad you asked about this, Alex, because Iran right now is critical. You remember that 2 years ago, and again, I recorded this on my DVD series, and I said, everybody thought we were going to war with Iran 2 years ago. We had all of our Air Force, our Navy, Marines, everybody battle ready right out there in the Persian Gulf. And nearly every talk show host, and I, as a talk show guest, was saying we were about to go to war with Iran. And I was on the phone with this elitist friend of mine one day, and he said,
no, it's not going to happen for a couple years, but that was a couple years ago.
Yeah, and then 1 year ago, nearly everybody was getting ready for it again. And he said the same thing. He said, Chaplain, it is not time for war with Iran yet. Well, I'm changing my tune altogether. It's now. It's time. They are within folks, please jot this down. You are within 3 to 4 months of, and I'm putting this just as positively as I can in a manner that they would say it. The elite want a Middle East crisis within 4 to 5 months' time. It is now. Before I said you have nothing to worry about. I'm telling you now, you're within 4 to 5 months to the time that they want this. It is time.
Well, I don't even know what to say to that because so much, almost everything that this individual's told you has been dead on. Very few things have not been dead on. And, he said no war with Iran now. Now he's saying they are going to do it.
He says they want a conflict in the Middle East. Now, this could be with Israel. This could be concerning the West Bank. This could be many different things. They want a conflict. But don't focus your attention on that. Folks, I go back to what I said at the beginning of the program today. Please don't allow these little conflicts. And
yeah, but an attack on Iran, every major analyst talks about $200 a barrel, $400 a barrel. I mean, it runs the gamut of 200 and above. I mean, that would do your oil situation right there.
But watch China and Russia. Don't get so involved in watching what takes place in the Middle East that you...
No, I understand that they've made these oil deals and China's shifting away from dollars and so is Russia. That's all mainstream news. My issue is, what else did he say was going to happen with China and Russia?
Well, naturally, China is not going to be our best friend from this point on. They're cashing out. They don't want our T-bills anymore. They're not coming to the Federal Reserve auctions. And many of you will remember that I warned you about this a year and a half ago when this individual was on the phone with me, and he said whenever other countries stop buying our T-bills and our Federal Reserve auctions, that the dollar is going to collapse because there's nobody to back it up. Now the Federal Reserve is buying their own T-bills back again and monetizing the debt in a different manner. We are in everything this man told me in the past 2 years is happening just like that. Now watch China, because China is not going to continue buying our currencies. Instead, they're going to gold and silver. Okay, you ready? Here's the next one. Gold and silver. Oh, my goodness, people, I warned you. I begged of you 2 years ago to buy gold and silver. Now, folks, I don't sell gold and silver. I don't represent any gold and silver dealer or company. You couldn't buy a piece of gold or silver for me if you called me on my phone personally and asked me to sell it to you. I am telling you what I have been told. Gold and silver, when I warned you 2 years ago, it was $600 to $650 an ounce. Today it's $1,350 an ounce, and it's still cheap. Where is gold and silver going? Here is the prediction. The currency of the elite is gold and silver. They are not going to allow anything to control it nor to disturb it. I warn you years ago, gold and silver, and I've just been told it's going up, 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 up. Can I say it any plainer? You have seen nothing yet.